Hello everyone and welcome back to another session. If you are joining for the very first time, my name is Hannah Grace and welcome to the book club. So like I mentioned in the last discussion video, this video we are going to be talking about all things Sarah J. Maas because today is the release of the final book in the Throne of Glass series, Kingdom of Ash. So before we get into any discussion, I kind of would just like to talk about how I ended up getting into the fandom of Sarah J. Maas. So it was my junior year of high school, I think maybe towards halfway of the school year, and we were starting up another club called Book Club with me and a few other girls at the school. And there was this other girl, she asked me, hey, have you ever read a Sarah J. Maas book? And I was like, no, I've never heard of her. And she was like, you have to go read her books. You have to read Throne of Glass. She has a new series coming out, which was ACOTAR. And so I read the Throne of Glass series. I think all the books that had been out in about about 3 weeks or so, I had read all the books that were out at that point. So, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then I started to read the ACOTAR series. As soon as that first book was published, I had picked it up and read it. So I got hooked immediately on her books, and I think these few years later, I'm still, obviously, as you can tell, a huge fan of her books. So now I want to talk about the time when I met her. Now, my chance meeting her was completely out of the blue. It was by chance, by luck, that I met her. So it was in 2016 when BookCon was being held in Chicago. It was the very first time. And so I found out about it, and I dragged my sister Sarah all the way up to the city with me. And that day, even though it was May, it was cold. It was so cold. It was cloudy. It was windy. My sister did not bring a jacket, and I had this black North Face. So what we would do is every 30 minutes we would switch off of who would wear the North Face because it was that cold. And so we finally get up to the convention center, and we get inside, and it is this massive line. One massive line. And we get in line, and we waited in line for about 2 hours just to get our badges. So we finally get our badges, and then they tell us that we had to go all the way back towards the end of the line to get the wristbands. And then at that point, I'm just like, you know what? By the time I get there, I know that all the wristbands that I want, they're gonna be gone. You know, Susan Dennard, Veronica Roth, Victoria Aveyard, Alex Bracken, Sarah J. Maas, like the people that I really wanted to see, I knew for a fact that they were not gonna be there anymore. So I was like, you know what, let's just stay positive, whatever. So we finally get up to where the wristbands are, and every author's, I think, was virtually gone. So I'm like, okay, fine. So then waiting in line for the wristbands, I think we had to wait another hour or so. So we're already up to 3 hours of waiting. And then we had to wait in line again, another like hour and a half, I believe, to get onto the convention floor. So now we're about to like close to 5 hours of just waiting. And so we finally got into the convention floor, and my sister and I were walking around, we're looking at some booths. I bought A Mirror in the Ashes by Sabbath here, and at one point I remember I actually started reading it because I was just so bored and I was just so over the whole thing. And so my sister and I, we are walking behind where the booths are, and like a little bit farther down is like where they're setting up for the author signings. So out of the corner of my eye, I see something like bright, and I look, and walking kind of like right past me is Sarah J. Maas. So I turn to my sister, I'm like, Sarah, look, it's Sarah J. Maas. And I don't know what in the world I was kind of like thinking. Well, clearly I really wasn't, because I went right up to her and I said so quietly, I said, I'm a huge fan of your books. Can I please get a picture with you? And she was like, yes, absolutely. And she was like, yes, absolutely, of course. And I was just so like shocked by the whole like thing. I was just like so excited all of a sudden because, you know, it was just so out of the blue, and she was so nice. She even included my sister Sarah into the picture as well. So it was Sarah J. Maas, my sister Sarah, and myself, the three of us we took a picture. The lady that was kind of like with her throughout the day, like taking her to from like event to event, was the one that took the picture on my busted ass Android phone. The picture was taken, and I just remember like being so excited. I have the picture in my Instagram. I'll put a link down so you guys can check it out if you're interested. And so we're like kind of like walking away from each other, and as she's walking away, there's a bajillion questions I want to ask her about, you know, her books, you know. And the only thing that I end up saying to her, I blurt out, "Oh my god, I love your books, you know, you're such an amazing writer, you know, you're so amazing." And she was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And she was just so nice about the whole situation. And I mean, you know, the fact that she had absolutely no idea that we had traveled over an hour to get to the convention, and just waiting in line for so many hours, even though our interaction together was just no more than about like 2 minutes or so. It was still really worth it because she was just absolutely so nice about it. And like I said, she included my sister, which was really awesome. So yeah, that encounter I had was totally by luck. Even my sister was like, "Wow, Hannah, you got like a real picture with her, you know, not just one where she's just behind the desk, and you know, you got one with her." And you know, she kind of like took the time to do that. So yes, that was a really good experience. So now I kind of want to get into the nitty-gritty of her writing. So oftentimes when it comes to the fandoms of Sarah J. Maas, a lot of people really talk about the ships and the romance, and I think the overall epicness of her books. But right now I want to discuss the characters. So now Aylin, or as we all known her as Selena during the first few books, she is an assassin. She was trained by Arobin, and she works for the kind of assassin's guard, and she is the best assassin. But when Throne of Glass starts, we find that Selena's in a very bad situation. She's in the salt mines. She just, you know, is experiencing the loss and the death of her boyfriend Sam, which we all can remember was really heartbreaking. And then, you know, in Throne of Glass, she gets this proposition that if she competes in this competition to be the king's assassin, you know, her freedom will be given. So she obviously takes that, and then as the series progresses, her personal life changes. As we all know, Selena develops a romantic relationship with Kale, I don't know how to say his name, the captain of the guard. And so they begin a intimate relationship with each other, and then things start to turn, and we see that Selena, she's kind of shedding who she really is and becoming the person that she is meant to be, which is Aylin, the, you know, long lost queen of Terrasen. And she slowly becomes this person, and as that's happening, her relationship with the captain of the guard does begin to deteriorate, especially after the death of her friend Nahima, and that was really hard on her. And so at that point, when she goes and she trains with Rowan, who we will talk about in depth a little bit later, she really starts to become who she really is, and we discover that she has the ability to manipulate fire, and that she has this whole other strength to her, and that really, you know, kind of makes her become who she really is. And I think her character development is that progress that we typically do see of, you know, the person not knowing who they really are, and then figuring it out, and then kind of training those skills, honing those abilities, and then ultimately fighting for what she really wants, which is her people, which is, you know, who have been struggling for decades. So she really does kind of develop into such a strong female, because she is Fae. So and then we kind of see her now, right now, I think she's as you know, stuck, quite literally. So she's never going anywhere, but it is going to be rather interesting to see how she continues to develop as a queen in the situation that she is currently in. So I'm just gonna briefly just talk about, you know, the things that I really do love about Sarah J Maas's writing. So like I said, her world building, I love how intricate it is. I love her attention to detail, the way that she makes the magic flow throughout the book. And I just like her writing in general. Like I think it flows very well. I don't ever feel like, you know, this page is unnecessary, you know, this dialogue is unnecessary. Every single scene is important. Every single word is important. And I just love the whole fantasy of it all, you know, just the way that she has all of these elements of fantasy together. And you know, she has so many different things going on in her book, and we get different perspectives on it, and I think that is just a really awesome thing to be doing in a book. So now, since I talked about things I liked, I do want to mention just one thing that I would love for her to see do differently and have more of in her book, which is diversity. And I don't know if enough people are going to watch this where they might get mad at me, but as a person of color, I have been reading and watching, you know, white people in pop culture and media, whatever, and I've had to still relate to them. And I just felt like with the Sarah J Maas's books, we have a ton of white characters. Aelin, Rowan, Kale, Dorian, Manon, Lysandra, Aoden, Evangeline, Arobin, Sam. Those are like 10 people I counted already. And then we don't really see a lot of those diverse characters. We have Nahima, we have Nesserin, and then we have Irene, and then we have that dude whose name I cannot pronounce, starts with an S. Y'all know who it is. But you know, those are just only a few out of those 10 that I just mentioned. I feel like that she has such a huge fandom. She has such a huge fan base. She has readers all over the world. But I think that she would attract a lot more readers if she had just a little bit more diversity in her books. I feel like it isn't until, you know, Tower of Dawn, which is towards the end of the series, that I really feel like we start to see that diversity. You know, when they go to the southern continent, when Kale and Nesserin go to the southern continent, we start to see that, you know, culture, that ethnicity that, you know, a lot of people were missing. So I just felt like that the diversity was a tad rushed at the end. You know, like I said, I don't have anything against her personally. Like I said, she's an amazing writer. I took a picture with her, you know, but I would love to see just a little bit more diversity in her books. So as I post this video, it will be the day that Sarah J Maas will be in Naperville for the Kingdom of Ash tour, and I will be attending, so I'm super excited to be seeing her again. I can't wait to hear what she says about the final book, and I can't wait to hear about her talk about some upcoming projects, because I have been missing the Ektar world very deeply. And I hope I get to ask her a question. I've been thinking of a few questions to ask her, so I hope I get the chance to ask her a question and just to kind of get more insight from her. So for today's question, for the discussion down in the comments below, is Sarah J Maas. What do you think of her? How do you feel about her books? Are you seeing her on her Kingdom of Ash tour? What are your favorite characters? Just, you know, have just an open discussion about Sarah J Maas down in the comments below. And I will be doing a little bit of filming during her event in the evening, and I will be posting a review of the event and kind of talking about everything that was going on, and we will be doing some unboxings as well, so that will be really exciting. So that is it for today's discussion video. as always, everybody is welcome to join the book club. So please, if you are interested in talking about literature, join and hit that red button, and they will have a new video, discussion video, every week. So that is it for today, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!